Hey, how's it going? Myles here at Tactical Hyve, and today in this video I want to cover 5 great drills that you can use to improve your recoil management. When you understand how to manage recoil through your stance and your muzzle rise through your grip, having all of that knowledge in your head is great, but you need a lot of practice to really burn in those skills, the mechanics, into your subconscious. So you need to do a lot of drills. So I want to cover, again, 5 really good drills. There's so many drills out there, right? So I'm just going to go over some of the more popular ones that I tend to use the most. Before we get to the drills though, something that's very important. If you really want to get the most out of these drills, there are 2 things that you really should look into getting or bringing to your training session. One, I have it right here, is a shot timer. In order to truly know if you're improving, you want to time yourself, not just your total time in the shots, but your split times, right? Because we're talking about recoil management and shooting quickly. And every time you are shooting quickly, your grip can break down and the time in between shots or the split times is important. So having a timer is going to be really helpful. The second thing is having a camera, video camera. Pretty much everyone has an iPhone now or an Android. So use that, set it up on a tripod, and then film yourself, but do so in 2 speeds, full speed as well as slow motion. And you're going to see that by using slow motion and regular speed, you're going to get different data. You're going to get different insights. There are certain things that you're going to see better in slow motion, vice versa. So those 2 things are going to be great. That said, let's dive right into the drills. The first drill is very simple. Going to have a 7-yard target. I like to use steel just because it's easier to know if I'm hitting. You can use paper, whatever you want. The focus is not necessarily on the target. The focus is going to be on your grip, right? But you do want to know if you're getting good hits. So immediate feedback is nice for me. You can use paper. We're going to rely more on the video, the timer, and our feel to see if we're doing a good job or not. So let me just demonstrate the drill real quick and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. I'm using my Glock 19 right here, and you can use this, you can do this out of the holster. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna do this from a compressed ready, and I am already locked and loaded here, and I'm gonna do it off of the timer. So what's going to happen is I'll be in a compressed ready position, I'm ready to take my shots, I have established what I feel is my good grip, and then once the buzzer sounds, I'm gonna take 2 shots, okay? And depending on your skill level, you can go fast, you can go slow. So, just change the pace based on your skill level. And then from there, you would do 2 shots and then increase it to 3 shots. You can go all the way to 4, 5, 6 shots, but you don't necessarily need to. You can start off slow, and you can already see if your grip is breaking and if you have good recoil management and muzzle rise management with 2 or 3 shots, right? So this is how it's gonna look. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time. 3 shots. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So what you wanna do is when you are watching your video, you're looking at the actual amount of muzzle rise in your gun, all right? And the amount that you're moving backwards, okay, if you are, all right? And that is what recoil and muzzle rise or muzzle flip management is all about. It's about minimizing that rearward motion from recoil, and then the byproduct of recoil is that muzzle rise, and that is all about your grip. So when you're looking at your video, okay, what you want to do is you're gonna visually see how much you're moving back or how high this rises. And the goal when you're watching your video is to improve, right? To see that gun move less, right? Similarly, you wanna see yourself not move back, okay? And that recoil is a matter correlated with the stance, muzzle rise, muzzle flip is correlated with grip, your grip strength, and basically everything else that you're doing with your hands, right? Not just your grip pressure, but everything else there. So when you're looking at your timer, so you'll have your total time, and that's great. So you also want to keep track of that, your total time, but beyond that, you're looking at your split times. So the more you improve, you're going to have faster split times as well, okay? So you would jot down what this times is to make note of it in your training journal, and then see if you're improving as you move on to doing the drill the next week or whenever you do it again, all right? So very simple drill to start off with that's really gonna help you with your mechanics. Now, let's take it a little bit further and change things up with the second drill. Drill number 2 is called 20 Alpha, and this is something that I've covered in the past, and we have a dedicated video for this, which I will put a link to in this video, so I'm not going to dive into all the details, but it is pretty simple. There's multiple ways to do this, but the way I'm going to demonstrate this is you're going to have a target. You can use paper. Again, I like to use steel. That should be at 20 yards, but it's actually at 25. I'm just too lazy to move it closer, so we're just going to keep it there, all right? And the drill is exactly the same. What you're going to do is, on the buzzer, you're going to need a timer. You're going to take 5 shots, and the goal is to land all those 5 shots as fast as you can. Then you're going to do this for 3 more times. So you have a total of 4 repetitions of 5 shots. So 20 rounds, 20 alpha, 20 yards. That's why it's called 20 alpha, okay? There are different variations, as I mentioned, but we're not going to worry about that. Why is this such a good drill for recoil management? Because now it's at 20 yards in the sense that the recoil impulse is going to be different in the sense that we're shooting less frequently. We're going to be a little bit slower. It gives you also time, not a lot of time, but it also gives you some time in between shots, depending on how fast you are, to kind of think about your grip, focus in on it, be a little bit more conscious. Whereas if something is really close, let's say a bill drill, you might not have that time gap. And as you get faster and faster, you'll be able to kind of read your grip in real time and make adjustments. But I like this also because it's a far target. If you can land all 20 shots, that's a really good sign of your marksmanship. But of course, the time can change things up, right? Size of the target also. We're using BC steel over there, and you want to shoot for about 2.5 seconds if you're using a 9mm, all right? You can do this from the holster or from compress ready. From the holster, you should strive to get 2.5 seconds. If you're hitting all of your shots, 2.5 seconds from the holster, you're doing a really great job, all right, for all 4 iterations. Keep in mind, we want the video, again, to tell us how we're doing with the recoil management. Do not just do these drills without any feedback, right? So if you do these drills and you're not videoing yourself, you don't really know if you're improving in the sense of your actual movement. You could tell from the time if you're being faster, but having that video is an insurance policy, okay? So I have a target down there. Again, it's at about 25 yards, should be at 20, just too lazy to go down there and change it. I'm going to do this from compress ready, 5 shots on the buzzer. Here we go. Right? Take note of my time. And then what you want to do is, I would have a journal, you know, something that you could write on. Take track of your time for each iteration, right? Don't just look at the time. It's best if you measure everything that you're doing. And when things are measured, you are going to see better progress, all right? So again, you're going to do the same thing. You would note down your time. You can note down your split times and do it once again. Okay, so I missed 1 shot there, all right? And I'm not gonna do the whole drill. You kind of get the hang of it, but here's the deal. You're gonna be looking at your split times, you're gonna be looking at your total times, and you are also going to account for your misses here, all right? When we think about just overall performance with this drill, just to dive into that for a second, if you are nailing all of your shots, and let's say it's at 3 seconds, okay, but you have no misses, you want to speed it up. You want to speed it up to the point you begin to miss at least 1 or, you know, maybe up to 2 shots. If you miss up to 2 shots, then that's kind of like, that's a good steady area that you know, that's kind of where your limits are. But then you should be pushing beyond that. So try to land maybe go faster, and if you go beyond 2 shots off, then you've really reached a point where you're breaking apart. Then you want to go back down and improve your skills there, okay? Again, I'm using a piece of steel. You don't need to use that. I like it because I can hear it from here, but you can hold yourself to a higher standard, get a smaller, maybe an A zone or defined target area. Then after you do 20 shots, go down and take a look at how things look. Look at your video, as I talked about in the first drill, because the speed here is different, that might change the mechanics of your grip, okay? And one other thing that you guys can do is pay attention in your video if your grip is coming apart. The more experience you have, you'll know if your grip is coming apart as you shoot, but the video there is also an insurance policy for those of you who might kind of lose track or awareness during practice session. That's why we're taking the video. The third drill is the popular bill drill. This can be done from the holster. I'm just gonna do it from compress ready because I want you guys who are beginners or intermediate just focused on the actual shooting aspect. Don't worry about the draw. And I highly recommend this. Depending on your skill level, you don't need to do this from the draw if you're not ready, because then you're worrying about the draw and your grip and recoil management. It's better just to isolate first, right? Then when you get a good idea of how it is to have proper recoil management and muzzle flip management, then do it from the holster, right? This is relatively simple. What we want to do is we want to have a target, it can be paper or steel, at 7 yards, and on the buzzer we're going to take 6 shots. If you're doing from the holster, you're going to draw and take 6 shots. Once again, how we determine if we're doing better is by gauging our time, measuring our time, comparing it to different training sessions, see if we're getting faster, as well as the accuracy of our hits, but then also looking at video. We want to see if we're really flaring up with our muzzle flip and we're moving back. That's not good, right? So we want to minimize that, okay? So here's how it looks. Very simple here. We're going to take 6 shots on the buzzer. Okay, there you have it. Really simple, a bill drill. Look at your video, check your times, and make sure you're recording everything when you are checking your times. The fourth drill doesn't really have a known or universal name. I like to call it the Fartineer Drill, and it takes 4 rounds. The idea here is you're going to take a far target, a target that requires you to truly aim. You got to be precise. So whatever that distance is for you. So we had that target from the previous drill, which is about 25 yards away, and then we have this steel plate at about 7 yards. What we're going to do is we're going to take 2 shots at the far target and then immediately take 2 shots at the close target. So there is a transition involved here. And the reason why I like this drill a lot for recoil management is you have that target far away where the tempo, the speed between shots, the time is going to be much longer, right? So you might be all relaxed and, not thinking that you have to worry so much about rapid fire and the recoil impulse from that rapid fire. But then immediately we're going to switch to that closer target. Then you're going to let 2 shots as fast as you can loose on that steel. So what will happen is if you don't really have good recoil management, you're going to see that muzzle rise, or your grip is breaking, or you're moving back. Once again, this is where video comes in, and we're going to be recording everything. So this is how it looks. The Fartineer Drill here, you can do this on paper or steel. All right, so I'm locked and loaded. Going to do this from the buzzer. Here we go. Okay. So you would record your time. All right, I got 2:15 there, and the time doesn't really matter in terms of the standard. What you want to do is you're establishing your own baseline. All right, so if my rep here was 2:15, and let's just say I do this for 30 minutes, like one training session, right, or an hour, or whatever it is, and the average of my time with all hits in is 2:15. Okay. Then next training session, I want to look to improve, right? With maintaining the accuracy, maybe I want my total time to be 2 seconds, okay? So don't worry too much about par times yet. What you want to do though is in overall training for this particular drill, establish your baseline and just look to improve each time while maintaining accuracy. The last recoil management drill that I like to use a lot also doesn't really have a name. There's nothing universal about this, but it's really just a transition drill where you're not changing the depth of your targets. One is not near, one is not far. They're on the same plane, the same distance, but you're transitioning left to right or up or down at the same distance. You can use any kind of target you want here, right? What I have downrange here are 2 spinners, and I could use that. You could simulate that as 4 stacked targets, maybe a paper target here, a paper target here, a paper target here, a paper target here. Okay? And you don't need all 4. You could use 2, maybe one's on the angle, so you can get creative with this. The idea is you want to transition. This drill is still working recoil management because we're taking multiple shots, but the idea here is to kind of confuse ourselves, trying to take away our mind from our grip by having us focus on transitions. And that can mess with some people there. So if you are too focused on the visual part of it, like transitioning with your eyes, then your grip can break down, your recoil management can break down, and the video is going to show that. Your performance will reflect that in your timer as well. So we're just adding a layer here tier of complexity based on vision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate a version here that people can do at indoor ranges too, because I know not everyone has the ability to stack targets and things like that. So I have 2 spinners here, and we're just going to shoot the top 2 hexagons. We're going to pretend like you were at a bay, shooting bay, and you had just one target, right? One backer, and you could put 2 targets next to each other. And so what we're going to do is we're going to land 2 shots, pop, pop, and then 2 shots on the next one, right? The target is important in the sense that we want to hit it, but this is a recoil management drill, right? We want to look at our stance. In video, we want to look at our grip to see if we're breaking down. Okay, so it's going to be very simple, and if your range allows you to draw, then you can do this from with drawing. If you're at an indoor range that doesn't allow you, then just do it from compressed ready. Okay, I'm going to set the timer here, and let's go. All right, if you want to get fancy, you can go back and forth, because the more shots you take, the more chance that your grip, your muzzle control, the muzzle flip control, and your recoil management can break down the more you do this, right? The more advanced you are, it's not really gonna matter, but for beginner and intermediate shooters, they might get caught up in the speed and just having fun. So you can break it up. Just kind of like this. I'll start the time here. So I missed a few shots there, but that's the idea here, right? You are now doing more shots so that you can you have more repetitions to look at under video, okay? If you don't have enough experience yet, you won't have the body awareness to know if you're really having good control. So that's why, again, I'm harping on the video. It's very important, both slow and regular speed. There you guys have it, 5 drills that will help with your recoil management. Just keep in mind there's tons of drills that you can use to work on your recoil management. These are just some of my favorites that I use and tend to use regularly, and a number of different people that I shoot with. So give it a try. I think it's going to help. Remember, timer, video, you need them both. And let me know what you think. And if you have a drill that you really like for recoil management, list it up in the comments. I'd like to know. And as usual, please like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy this video.